There's something the military doesn't like to talk about. It's not classified missions or secret weapons, it's the cost of turning a regular person into a fighter jet pilot. Not the jet, not the gear, just the training. It's a number so massive, it's rarely mentioned out loud. Most people have no clue, and that's exactly how it stayed hidden for years. Behind every pilot who climbs into one of those high-speed machines is a trail of expenses that would make your jaw drop. It's buried in defense budgets, disguised behind fancy names and vague terms. But if you dig deep enough, the truth is there, and it's shocking. What could possibly make training one person so expensive? Fuel? Yes. Simulators? Sure, but that's just the surface. This isn't something you'll find in movies or on the evening news. It's one of the most carefully kept financial secrets in the military, and one of the most mind-blowing. Today, we're pulling back the curtain and exposing the incredible, almost unbelievable amount of money that goes into creating a single fighter pilot. This is the shocking truth behind the cost of training a fighter pilot, and why no one wants to talk about it. So, how much does it cost to train one fighter pilot? The answer surprises most people. It's not just expensive, it's sky high. Depending on the aircraft, the cost can stretch deep into the millions. For example, training a pilot to fly the F-16 can go beyond $6 million, while the F-35 often passes $11 million. That's for just one person. The spending starts the moment a new recruit steps into a classroom. Early training involves flight time in smaller propeller planes, basic courses, and simulator time. Even that stage can cost hundreds of thousands. As the pilot advances, they transition into high-performance trainers and eventually, real fighter jets. But flying the jets is only part of it. The training includes custom-built simulators, instructors, safety crews, fuel, and tech systems. A modern simulator might cost more than a house and requires updates to stay current with combat systems. And there are life costs too. Food, housing, healthcare, uniforms, travel expenses, all funded by the military. So why does it cost so much to train just one fighter pilot? It's not just about the aircraft. It's about the entire system around that pilot. First, the jet itself is an elite weapon. Take the F-35. Every time it flies, it costs about $35,000 per hour. Pilots need intense, repeated practice, hundreds of hours both in the air and on the ground. But before they even touch a fighter jet, they go through years of training in a layered system. This includes ground schools, flight theory, survival training, and simulator missions. The jets used in advanced training, like the T-38 or T-7, cost thousands per flight hour as well. Then there's the infrastructure. Fighter pilots don't train alone. They rely on a full crew of mechanics, engineers, air traffic controllers, safety teams, and instructors. Military bases function like small cities, with costs for equipment, maintenance, fuel, and logistics constantly piling up. The price also keeps rising. Technology changes. Fuel gets more expensive. Missions grow more complex. And when you're preparing someone to survive high-speed combat, cutting corners is not an option. In the end, you're not just paying for a pilot. You're investing in a person who's trained to operate one of the most dangerous and advanced machines in the world, flawlessly. Here's where things get even more interesting. Most people don't know this, but the government pays for almost everything when it comes to training a fighter pilot. Taxpayers like you and me are the ones footing the bill, and that's the secret no one really talks about. When a pilot starts their training, they don't write a check. The US military invests millions into each one, hoping they'll stay long enough to make it worth it. That's why fighter pilots are required to sign long service contracts, sometimes 8 to 10 years or more, just to cover the cost of their training. But even with those contracts, not all pilots stick around. Some leave early, some burn out, others get better offers in the private sector. And when they go, that investment is gone. Then there are countries like the UK, where training delays have gotten so bad that they've started sending pilots overseas just to speed things up. In some cases, British pilots are trained in the US, which can cost up to $2 million per pilot just for that part alone. That's not counting the cost of equipment, housing, or even just keeping them busy while they wait for their turn in the simulator. All of that adds up, and quick. What makes it worse? There's no big press release or public report showing these numbers. Most of it is hidden in defense budgets, written in complicated terms that are hard to understand unless you dig deep into it. So while everyday people struggle with college debt or job training, the military is quietly spending millions on a single person without most taxpayers ever knowing it. Why is it so hidden? Maybe because if more people knew, they'd ask tougher questions. Should we be using that money differently? Can we train pilots cheaper? Those are hard questions. And the answers aren't always clear. But one thing is, behind every pilot is a giant stack of money. So what happens when things don't go as planned? Imagine spending years and millions training a fighter pilot, only for them to leave early. It happens more than you'd think. Some pilots get tired of the pressure, others get injured or burned out, and some leave for high-paying jobs in the private sector, flying cargo planes or working for airlines. When that happens, the military doesn't get its money back. That entire investment, millions of dollars, walks out the door. It's a huge loss, and it hurts, because now they need to start over and train someone new, from scratch. That's why military leaders are always trying to find ways to keep pilots happy and flying. But there's another issue. Time. Training isn't fast. It takes years to turn a rookie into a combat-ready pilot. So when the military suddenly needs more pilots, they can't just speed things up. They're stuck with a long, expensive process. This is where new technology is starting to help. Some forces, like the Royal Air Force, are using augmented reality, AR, and virtual reality, VR, to cut costs. Pilots wear special visors that simulate the jet's cockpit and flying conditions without ever leaving the ground. It's not perfect, but it saves real money. No fuel, no jet maintenance, and way less risk. These tools are getting better every year, and they're changing how pilots learn. Still, there's a limit to what a simulator can do. You can't feel the G-forces, the vibration, the wind screaming past at 1,200 miles per hour. That only comes with real flying. So while VR helps, it's not a full replacement. Another big consequence? Stress. Being a pilot isn't just hard on the wallet, it's hard on the body and mind. The pressure to perform perfectly, the constant training, the knowledge that mistakes can be deadly. It wears people down. So yes, the cost of training is high, but the cost of losing a trained pilot, whether they quit or crash, is even higher. That's why every stage of training matters. Why every tool, every teacher, every flight hour is so important. Because in the end, it's not just about money. It's about building someone who can handle the most dangerous machine in the world and come back alive. Now you know what most people don't. Training a fighter pilot isn't just about flying. It's a long, intense journey that costs millions. Not for the jets, not for the weapons, just for the training. And almost no one talks about it. Why? Because the numbers are huge. Because the process is complicated. And maybe because if more people knew, they'd start asking questions. But behind every pilot is a secret mountain of money, time, and pressure. It's all paid for by the public, yet buried deep in military budgets most folks never read. So the next time you hear a jet roar across the sky, think about what it really took to put that pilot up there. Years of training, endless practice, millions of dollars, and a system built to turn regular people into elite warriors of the sky. What do you think? Would you be capable of flying these extreme expensive fighter jets? Don't forget to subscribe and let us know in the comments.